10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Drag racing world, the Power Hour is live. I'm Lee Kraft, coming to you live from an undisclosed Buffalo Wild Wings on my journeys. And over there in studio is Mr. Dugenay Bland. Dugenay, always good to be chatting up drag racing with you. We got two winners on tonight from the Pro Shootout.
Yeah, I'm super excited for both of them. Shawn getting an opportunity to get a win, and I think this win kind of puts him on I call it the John Force effect, where I think some people are going to be noticing them at the Gator Nationals and, might be trying to do a little bit too much to try to get a win there, knowing how well they're running. And Ron Capps, another good one. Looking forward to talking to him just about what they have going on and the future with Matty Gordon there. Impressive.
Right, I agree completely. And anybody that had been following along, well, Ron is terrible at keeping secrets, and I can't wait to talk to him about that and the strategy behind it. Maybe that's the way things ought to be instead of it just floating around in the competitionplus.com rumor mill. By the way, that rumor mill, you need to check it out from time to time, and a lot of times it does become true with the world of drag racing. And take the time, hit the share button, just like I've done. I re-X'd and also shared from the Facebook page. Thank you to everyone diving into the comment section, such as Memphis, Dino, Blake. Folks, we usually have our guest here lately very early into the show, about the 5-minute mark. Well, we're going to have Shawn come in just a little bit later, so we're going to dive into some discussion tonight. And Dugenay, I like what you were talking about before going live. I saw some NASCAR coverage this weekend, and NASCAR really had a buzz, in particular ARCA, which is under the NASCAR umbrella these days, with Cletus McFarland, a.k.a. Garrett Mitchell, or Garrett Mitchell, a.k.a. Cletus McFarland, whichever way it is. Nonetheless, he's certainly out there at Daytona.
Yes, he did. Classic interview. It was so natural, and it was, so much from just pure excitement and elation of being out there. Need more of that. He is now, I think, been coined the real-life Ricky Bobby, and I'm here for it. I think that got NASCAR a lot of attention, got ARCA a lot of attention, and I think that's important for the sport. It's kind of funny. You see the NHRA making moves and doing different things to draw attention to the sport. You see NASCAR, they've made some moves as well. I thought this weekend was pretty awesome to watch. And, you look at other stick and ball sports, the NBA kind of falling flat on their face the first weekend of no football with that awful all-star game. I think stick and ball sports could take a little bit from the racing world and how to do things when it comes down to generating buzz and getting people to generate more interest in their sport.
Well, you have to hand it to Cletus in the situation he was in. So he's out there at ARCA, first time making laps around Daytona International Speedway, and he is took out. And he's in a big one, which is no shock with ARCA, okay?
Yeah.
Well, there's always that interview with somebody out of the infield care center once they check out. Hey, how you doing? What was happening on the track? How'd you get caught up? Is there anything you could have done? Well, he sold it. He took his opportunity. And yes, I know he is a big star on YouTube, and he has millions, literally, of followers, subscribers on YouTube, and gets millions of views. But nonetheless, he was on national television. He was on international television, and he sold it. He allowed his character to come out and be on display. And here we are, we're talking about it. Others are talking about it. His personality came out. And that's what we need to see across the board, especially in drag racing.
Yeah.
I don't need to all look. Go to the school of Michael Waltrip and learn how to work your sponsors in and be personable at the same time. It can be done.
Yeah, it definitely can. Can't be a sponsor plug every time. And I think right out the gate, he just won himself a bunch of fans that are very much interested in him and seeing him race again. So that's how you're going to grab. That's how you're going to grab a fan base. That's how you're going to get people to tune in, to watch you, to argue with the people in the stands about why they think you're going to win and all of those things. That's how you get it done. The robot Tiger Woods thing can't happen and can't continue to happen because it just doesn't draw any interest at all. People are not interested in that.
Right. And I will say that there needs to be some people within the sport to see opportunity to elevate the sport while also taking a shot at their own ego and putting it on the back burner, frankly.
Yeah.
Because, Drag Racing Mayhem in the comment section is like, hey, somehow we let a drag racer get to Daytona before top level of our sport. Well, look, the entry level to ARCA and the entry level to Nitro is two different things. That's not apples to apples. That is apples to oranges, okay? So you can get into an ARCA ride and do laps around Daytona, and you don't quite have to have the experience to hop into a Nitro car. Or, like we have so many times heard, we heard it last week, what's the most challenging thing to a pro stock car? That burnout. I would say a drag car at the highest level is more technical than an ARCA car around Daytona in the draft. Yeah. Nothing against those in ARCA. You can see how challenging it is because ARCA brakes is a real thing, because people come off the short tracks and go to Daytona International Speedway, and ARCA brakes is a real thing. So, yes, I think we do need some people to say, you know what, this is my top fuel car. But you know what, we're going to commit to license you and use that exposure to our own benefit.
Yeah.
I think it would be very opportunistic for a Doug Foley, for a Dale Worsham, for even a big name brand to say, we're going to go testing and we're going to have the cameras there and we're going to walk through this experience and it's going to be real and it's going to be raw and showcase this personality, such as a Cletus McFarland, going through how challenging it is to get into a Nitro car.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be it gives the fans a different perspective and an insight on how difficult it can be. I was just talking with Ryan Elliott on the Not Bland show earlier, and we were talking about Austin Prock and how he is very, very much in tune with the race car, and it's most importantly the steering part of it, where it's very little movement. And for a funny car, that's super important, and it really is a problem for the field because it's that aspect of it that keeps that car straight, gives it the ability to not waver and get down the racetrack as quick as they want to and run the ETs that they want. And that repeatability is so important as a driver. And, that would be something that people like to learn and get educated on, and will give some other insight. It also gives people the view from the driver of the peaks and valleys that they go through, crew chiefs go through, teams go through during those times as well. I think it would be very much beneficial, especially for the fan base.
I think something else it shows, again, the power of social media. Here you have Garrett Mitchell, Cletus McFarland, and his fandom, his fame, built through social media, in particular YouTube. And drivers and teams need to start leveraging all of it.
Yeah.
Look at Clay Millican. He has done very well in the YouTube game when he committed to it. And I'm sure that has opened doors that would not have opened up for him before the YouTube growth. And it fascinates me that you have teams out there with 11,000 horsepower, 330 mile per hour cars, and they have less of a following than people who we don't even actually know their name.
Right.
And they have pages.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. Commit to putting some content out there and commit to hiring the right people and supporting them to be able to build your content if you're not going to do it yourself. And put yourself out there. Maybe you're not as personable as Clay. That's fine. Figure out another angle. Maybe you're going to show the serious side of drag racing. You're going to be that serious individual. Do that. I think of Rob Wendland. Rob Wendland, the crew chief for Shawn Reed. He has a successful YouTube channel. He has over 20,000 subscribers. He just goes through and shows technical things about drag racing. Have that angle.
Yeah.
Put yourself out there.
Yeah, I think those things would help out a lot. I also think it's a matter of individuals becoming educated on the importance of it. And there's so much there's so much dependability on those who do the job, and they don't understand the importance of it's not just about having somebody to do it, right? Because, you know, you can do that. You can find somebody to do that, but it's also the individuality. It's the ability for people or those who are running your social media to give you that undivided attention, that they're not so overloaded that they're not able to really dive in and give it that extra that it needs to boost the page, to get people to tune in, to follow you. It's so much more than just putting out a picture and a catchphrase, or a video and a catchphrase, or a video with some music in a catchphrase. It's more to it than just that. And I think if those drivers would educate themselves on that side of the PR deal, I think you'd find out that there would be avenues for others to be able to work those types of jobs because they understand the importance of the individuality of it. It's not the quantity, you know what I mean? It's the quality. And that's going to make the difference in whether people care about what you're doing and what's being put out there, and whether people don't. So, a lot of people do a lot of great jobs out there. But again, having too many clients can be a detriment to the client. But if the client doesn't understand that and doesn't understand the importance of that extra undivided attention, then they don't see the value. So therefore they don't know. And what you don't know, you just become ignorant to it, and you don't see that. So there's so many avenues and things that are important with that to excel in that department and it be a positive and a huge help for you. And I think that's why some don't see that return on investment because of it.
Right. And NHRA professional drag racers need to double down and work on it. Recently I covered some testing at Rockingham Speedway, NASCAR. It was the Xfinity Series cars, and it was also the NASCAR Truck Series trucks on track. And there was one young gentleman, I had never heard of him. I follow Xfinity closely, closer than most, I think, but I had not picked up on this gentleman's name. I've got footage of him, and I'm going to connect that footage on my Monday Morning Racer Instagram and invite him to be a collaborator. So I find him, I follow him, I send that collab invite. One, he accepts the invite. That's a smart move. That's just free content for you. Two, I haven't heard of this kid, and he's got like 130,000 followers, and he's in Xfinity, which is not Cup.
Right.
Okay, it's not the highest level, and yet I think over half the Top Fuel field hasn't cracked 20,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, those of you out there in NHRA drag racing right now, do you realize in this comment section, Drag Racing Mayhem, who is like 19 years old and technically isn't media per se with credentials, but yet he just loves drag racing and yaks it up, has more of a following on Twitter than most of you that drive a Top Fuel car? That's sad.
That's sad.
Okay? Or X, excuse me. Or how about this? Dave W. and myself, like, we have bigger YouTube channels than all of the Top Fuel field, except for like Clay Millican.
Yeah.
Okay? And then I think of Monday Morning Racer, the Facebook page. Like, I just crossed over 71,000 followers. Other than like Antron Brown and top-level Top Fuel racers that have been out there a while, most of them haven't cracked, again, 20,000 followers.
Yep.
So I'm saying that to say this. Check who you're working with.
It matters.
It matters.
It definitely matters.
It matters. Start looking at like what Ron Capps does. Ron Capps does a good job because you'll actually see him on camera and he's personable. Yes. It's not just shots of his car. Look at what Clay Millican's doing. Look what Antron Brown is doing. Look at some of these that actually have in the sport a good amount of followers. One of them, for example, Buddy Holt. He has a big following on Instagram, more than people realize.
Yeah, he does.
It's just like, I don't know. It's just, there are sides to running your car out there that you're forgetting about running your car. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I was going to get to this question here from Blake. Blake asked, what are we looking forward to most for the 2025 NHRA season?
Well, Dujournay, I think right now, that I have a particular passion for the top alcohol classes.
Mm-hmm.
Injected nitro is about to have some sweeping impacts, I think, in the top alcohol funny car. And in saying this, let me also say Mick Steele and Anthony, oh man, I can't remember his last name. Tommy Johnson's drove the car. Again, there's already been injected nitro in NHRA drag racing,
right,
the last couple of years. And people have been trying to figure the combination out. And there has already been stellar runs. But what you had the Bartone brothers racing outfit pull off, and then if you go watch on Megan Meyer and her YouTube channel, oh, by the way, kind of like semi-retired driver has more of a YouTube page and channel than most that are out there actively. That's sad too. Like, guys, come on, really? Just put some work in.
Just
like record. Anyway, if you go watch her behind the scenes of the Bradenton test, she drops the numbers, okay? And it was like 530s with Julie in the car testing, okay? So, yeah, Mick Steele, Anthony with his car and whoever's driving, maybe it's Tommy Johnson and whoever else, Bartone brothers when they pull out the Black Pearl with Sean Bellemere, and also Julie Natus now and Randy Meyer and his injected nitro combination. That is going to be I think, a great story to follow. By the way, Cody Crone dropped the announcement today that he is going top alcohol funny car racing with the spinny thing on top, not injected nitro. So top alcohol funny car, I don't know how much it's really going to help the fields overall, but it is going to be interesting to follow.
Yeah, that was my pick too. I'm really excited about that. It adds a little bit of buzz to the class. Hopefully it does add the car count. If it doesn't, that's okay. But I think the competition will be great because you have people in that class that want to be there. Cody coming out, going to bring a car out as well. So I think those things, maybe you might see more, but I think these things with the injected nitro is going to be really fun to watch and to get after and to follow. It's going to make for an interesting year. And then with Julie coming over there and getting into a funny car herself, I'm just interested to see how well she does in it. And if so, does that change her trajectory as well? Do you then go to nitro funny car instead of going to dragster? So a lot of different things. She has options after driving something like this. So I think that's going to be the fun of 2025 right there.
Yes, and Julie certainly can drive a funny car. She went rounds in the Funny Car Chaos Classic 2 years ago with the Randy Myers injected nitro combination. They were still trying to figure things out, and then they also attempted to race at Eddyville and had some rather major parts failure, so they parked it. But she's been in that cockpit before, and she's been able to turn on some wind lights, and she's already had some interesting moments in it too. Just go back through her Instagram feed, and you can see her getting out of shape and learning that a funny car definitely has got a different reaction and reaction band, if you will, compared to a dragster. But Mike mentions Melanie Johnson, a Johnson back in top alcohol dragster with the Phillips. That is certainly a great point. And with that move, Matt Cummings decided to make a switch. He has been with the McPhillips camps for years. He's going to run with Randy Meyer Racing this year. So there's a lot of shuffling happening in the top alcohol ranks going into 2025, whether it's combinations of mechanical combinations and fuel combination or driver combination.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Going to be a lot of fun. This trivia here, how many drivers have won NHRA World Championships in both top alcohol dragster and top alcohol funny car? I'm just going to say on a single hand, 5.
How many drivers? I would say 2.
What's the answer, Dave?
It might even be 0.
It might even be 0. Yeah, that might be it.
So many of these folks get locked in. Like, okay, I'm only driving a long car. I'm only driving a short car.
Yep.
Funny body.
Yep. He said it.
0. Yeah. Well, there you go. Julie Natish, you got something else to go after. Become the first one ever to win a championship in top alcohol funny car and top alcohol dragster. There you go.
It could be the first one. Yeah, that'll be something to watch there. But I think that's going to be the fun of 2025. Obviously, I mean, there's so much going on and so many newcomers in the Mission Food Series. I also think, what are we going to receive from Pro Stock Motorcycle? I think that is a big question that needs to be answered. This season made changes last year. Mid-season, didn't like that. Not sure of any other changes that were made coming into this season. So what is it going to look like? What's the landscape going to look like? And will there be more competitive bikes out there than there were last year? I think that is something that will be looked at closely in 2025.
Absolutely. I think that is certainly the case. Again, for me, NHRA right now, I'm really looking at the top alcohol ranks and seeing what happens there. There is some legitimate buzz in top alcohol funny car and top alcohol dragster. And, when you look at the professional classes, I agree with you concerning that with Pro Stock Motorcycle. Will 2025 finally be the year that we have some new name step up in Pro Stock and actually nab the championship? Or is it going to be just an Erica, Greg Anderson turnstile type of situation in the naturally aspirated door slammers of the 500 cubic inch variety? And when it comes to funny car, does the Proc Rocket stay out front, or do we have legitimate challengers? And then can anyone in Top Fuel become the true legitimate number one in the class and put a stranglehold on it that goes through the regular season and into the playoffs?
Yeah, those are going to be those are good points. I'm looking forward to those being answered because I tell you right now, look at what they've been doing in the Pro Superstar Shootout. I mean, that Proc Rocket doesn't seem to have missed a step since last year. They came right back out and seem to be hitting on all cylinders. And to be quite frank with you, Jack Beckman also cars running really well as well. So again, you don't really see that identical, two identical cars going down the track like that with funny car, but they seem to have it, and it seems like it's going to continue in 2025. So I'm interested in that. And yeah, there's really not there's not a true number one. I mean, I guess you got to give it to Antron. He is the reigning, defending, undisputed champ, but it really is a toss-up because there are a lot of good cars out there. Will this be the time where we see Sean Langdon and crew become extremely more consistent and be able to put up the numbers we think they can? Does Justin Ashley finally seal the deal? Is it this time that he's able to take it the distance? You got so many other cars that are running well also in that class. You saw Josh Hart. I mean, the repeatability with that car at the Pro Superstar Shootout is something that they have been looking for all last season, trying to find it. And it seems like they have found it, and they can consistently run in the low 70s. Now, the question will be, can they, hit the home runs when they need to in those hero sessions? But at the end of the day, you don't have as many cool sessions and cool race days as you think. So really, they just need to have the repeatability when the track is hot and when it's a little greasy and a little messy. And they seem to have had that there in Bradenton. And if they can translate that starting at Gainesville regular season, they could definitely be right up there in the conversation of championship talk.
Absolutely. And you mentioning Josh Hart, I think about Shawn Reed, who we're waiting for. We haven't seen him in the green room as yet. He's already scheduled to bring him on. But that is a team that you talked to Rob Winland, as I have, and heard him express in some different settings about the year. Mm-hmm. Well, hey, I'm sure they're like, we finally got one. We've got momentum, and they can move forward. And in fact, we've got Sean in the green room now. So very quickly, we'll take a break. All of this is brought to you by Weldon High Performance. Weldon pumps for any application in the high performance world where you need a high performance pump. It's Weldon High Performance. That word, and then Sean. All right, Shawn Reed, man, welcome to the show. We'll dive right into this. Welcome. Great to have you. Look, does it feel like the proverbial monkey is off your back and y'all threw it off and you shot it dead with that wind down there in Brayton?
You know, it's pretty dang cool. I'll tell you that. You know, it's still kind of surreal. You know, I mean, it was a perfect weekend. You know, a week or 2 weeks. I couldn't have even planned it or scripted it any better. You know, to go down there and bring a brand new car and test pretty well, and the car went straight and it felt good, and my lights were better, and man, it was a blur. And all of a sudden, I won that thing, and then Sunday morning, I was on a jet to the Bahamas on a planned trip for my wife's annual incentive trip, and you know, I gotta tell you, it was pretty dang cool sitting on the beach, knowing I just won that thing.
I talked to your co-crew chief there, Shawn Reed, on the Ryan Elliott on the Not Bland show, Shawn, and I tell you what, man. What you guys went through in that first outing when you guys had some issues, did you kind of think, here we go again? Or was it kind of like, all right, no problem. We had a little issue. Let's just go regroup. We'll come back out here and send it on the next one.
Yeah, you're talking about the Friday night. In this one, we got 2 hero passes. You know, we had a Thursday night, a night session, and then we were going to do 2 on Friday, and then 1 Friday night. So, it wasn't here we go again. That wasn't my thought. It was like, what the heck's going on? Because we brought this bucket of bolts up 20 races last year in NHRA, and this thing's never failed to go down the track. But I did the burnout. I was backing up, and I looked down, and that oil pressure. We had an oil pressure problem in warm up, and then we thought we fixed it. Did the burnout, backed up, and saw the oil pressure, and man, I kind of wanted to cover it up and just send it, but I knew deep down it's that throttle's connected to my wallet, and I knew I wasn't going to make it more than about 200 feet at best, and then I was going to make a disaster mess out of everything, and so it wasn't here we go again. It was like, man, what a bummer, 9 cars, and I just don't want to be the 9th one, and then we got to go into the day stuff, but after it was all done and over with, I was pretty happy about, I was unhappy, but not with anyone. I was just unhappy because I wanted to hit the throttle, and I didn't want to. And I knew what we were going to run. We were going to run in the 60s that night, and you just had to think better of it. That's for sure.
So speaking of running in the 60s, and was able to have Rob Wimlin on Chaos Live earlier last week, I believe it was, and he mentioned a little bit about it, but from the driver's perspective, what was going on with the tires? That was a big buzz down there from that race of the condition of Goodyear tires and what they were going through, and even the interesting snapshot of, hey, top fuel cars without canards and mud.
Yeah, I'm just really the guy that gets to stab the throttle. I'm lucky guy. I really don't know a lot about what's going on with Goodyear or the tires or the compound, but to me, from someone that doesn't know really what's going on, it's like if a track is really prepped well, or we found this issue in the countdown. I think in the countdown, NHRA preps the tracks for cars to go fast, to not have tire smoke, to make sure that the cars go down the track, to determine a winner. And I think that Bradenton preps the track pretty dang good. And I think on a really good prep track, I think it has something to do with the way the tires. I don't think it's a problem going down the track. I think the problem is when you lift. I think when you lift, it just peels the tires apart. And I heard that the Cletus are the ones that went down the track first without the, creating so much downforce. and or letting the air pass that canard and helping lift the car up, just whether it's a millimeter or two. They thought that they were having or seeing success with it. And then I didn't even know we were not running canards. And I'm like, we're taking that thing to the line, and I'm like, what's this? And he goes, oh yeah, Josh is doing it too. We just both decided to do it. And I'm like, all right, well, I just hit the throttle and see where it goes. And I could not tell a difference in the handling of the car or anything like that. But we still peeled the tires right off of it. I mean, I looked at my tires when I got done, and I'm thinking, I don't even know how they stay together. I don't even know how I didn't do what Antron did in testing that destroyed his brand new car. And I sure hope we get it figured out, because 330 miles an hour, a tire comes apart. I probably would have hit Doug Khalid if I was Antron. He knows what to do. He's got way more experience than me, but I don't want to hit anybody, but I wouldn't know what to do at 330 miles an hour. I would have grabbed a handful of brake, and I only would have had one tire and one brake working, which means I would have went right into him or right into the wall, one of the two. And I don't know how Antron knows what to do, but he's got a lot of years of experience, and that's why I'm a teammate with him. And that's, I talk to him a lot about that kind of stuff.
You guys have carried a good bit of momentum into 2025 from last year. I'll throw a couple of stats at you, courtesy of DragRaceReference.com. You guys had the 10th most countdown points earned. You had the 8th most qualifying points, session points earned in the countdown only. And, you, although 4 and 5 in round win-loss record in the countdown, you faced 7 rounds of countdown drivers that were qualified top, drivers there. That's a tough gauntlet to go through. And your average qualifying position was 7th. You come out here to the Pro Superstar Shootout. You guys put together a nice weekend. You get the W. This has to give you a lot of confidence, and I'm calling it the John Force effect. Folks are going to line up against you in Gainesville after seeing what they saw, and they might be a little bit antsy knowing that they got to get up on the wheel because that Shawn Reed car is going to go A to B.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and that's all I've ever really wanted to do, is be able to compete with these girls and these guys, the best in the world. And I think we put together a pretty good program, and I wish it would have came together a little bit earlier last season than it did. But you're right, we lost a lot of close races. We probably lost 7 or 8, 6 or 7 or 8 races by 2 feet or less. And, I've said this on a lot of shows already that, that wasn't winning. That was me. My 085 average was about 10th or 11th best out of, 12 or 13 full-time drivers. Right. And, I need to step that thing up, and whether Wendland did something with the clutch and the car and the way it moves. And I know I practiced on the tree all winter, but I went 13 laps down the track, and I had 12 of them were 080 and better. So I have improved on the lights, and like I said, part of it might be some clutch stuff that he's doing, but part of it I want to believe is me. So. I think going into Gainesville, people will be looking and going, it's like, dang, he's driving pretty good, and the car seems to be pretty good. And, they definitely can't slack off. Any one of them can't slack off, but, there's still 12 or 13 cars every Sunday that can load you up in the trailer. And then there's about 5 or 6 more that get way more out of ruining your day than you'll get out of ruining theirs. So everybody wants to ruin your day.
Well, Shawn, we certainly expect in NHRA competition you're going to be doing some ruining of days for some fellow competitors. Thank you for your time. We're going to keep some schedule and move on to Ron Capps, but thanks for coming on, man.
You got it, guys. I appreciate you having me on again. Can't wait till next time, man.
Awesome. With a win.
Looking forward to it.
Perfect.
Well, folks, we got a commercial slotted with the guy that is up next, Ron Capps. This word with Drag Racing Bracket Bonanza first.
Drag racing fans, check out Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's the free, family-friendly fantasy bracket game. Now, after final qualifying at every national event, you can fill out your bracket for all the pro classes.
It's free, easy to click on your picks. If you need some help, just hit the randomizer button to fill in the blanks. It's for fun, stay engaged, and pick your winners today.
Ron Capps, man, welcome to the show. We just saw you in commercial. Now we got you live. That's cool. That's cool. Well, man, congratulations. Big win. You get a big win like this. Does it, create a situation where you go into Gainesville and you're like, we got it worked out. We should be ready to go? Or does it create a situation where like, was that a one-off thing? We're going to do it again? Uh-oh, Ron.
He's muted.
You're muted.
All right, got me?
Nope.
There you go.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
I'm still in awe of that commercial. I haven't seen that commercial. That was pretty cool. And I've never seen Antron unshaved like that. I've been at this long enough to know it was great. You celebrate, you enjoy it. Guido learns all the stuff that he learned from it, and then we go to the next race. I learned that a long time ago. It's nice. It's a great start, and anytime you can get past cars like the Proc car right now, especially the way it ran last year and this year, it's cool. And obviously it's a race, that was put on special last year and again this year, and so it means a lot from the trophy itself, which is kind of cool, to just the reason that we were doing it and the fans that showed up. My God, the place was packed. So there were a lot of really good things about it, but we've already kind of shut that door. It's kind of like the old Get Smart show. Like the door behind us shut, and then we're already focused on the next one. And Guido and the guys it's almost like we probably will get to Gainesville and not even remember that we did that and just focus on Gainesville.
Now, I know part of this whole thing at the Pro Superstar Shootout is learning and developing and growing to get to this point here to Gainesville. What did you guys learn and take away from your time at the Pro Superstar Shootout? And what are you guys looking to apply going forward into the Gator Nationals?
Well, last year was such a letdown for us. It's funny because we fought back to third place in the championship, which is bizarre. It didn't feel that way. We finished strong. We just did not have a great year. I didn't even get in the winner's circle. I don't know how long it's been since I personally haven't been in there, and same with Guido. But I knew the big picture. We just won 2 championships back to back, and we knew we had to get better. Obviously, Jimmy Proc did the same thing. I was with Ron Tolber when he decided to do that. There's just these great minds in drag racing. They understand that, listen, we can be all right for another year, maybe 2, running this way with this package and these clutch discs and this injector and all that. But we need to get ahead of the game. And I love Guido. I love that whole mentality he has. He's able to throw down when we want to. We went the 382. We ended up number 4. One of our quickest runs ever, one of my quickest runs ever, and had 2 cylinders out at 800 feet. So that's encouraging when I go up and sit behind Guido and I just watch him and T-Buck go over the run and realizing how much more was there. So we could run right with, Jimmy and those guys. But then we knew it was going to be hot out and warmer on Saturday. So the whole week we tested and we wanted to prepare. Last year we tested, we got behind, we had a new car. And then the big picture was let's not focus on racing this event. We should qualify and get in and be all right, but let's focus on testing. Well, we had one run, the chute came out, and it just, next thing you know, we're not in it. And we're doing the dragster versus funny car. And so I could not wait to do this again. But everything felt different this year. We hit the ground running, ran great in Pomona last year, and he started that tune-up, put it right in there, and the car hauled the mail right off the bat. So it was a great test week. We had Rod Bonfani down there working with Guido on clutch discs, and I think of all the runs, we made 16 runs. We only didn't make it down once, maybe twice when I lifted on one of them. So very productive. It's a new day when we get to Gainesville. We're going to test on Tuesday and Wednesday, but just put it in our back pocket and get to Gainesville. And we know the conditions are going to be a little bit different by that time.
Well, Ron, there's certainly a lot we can unpack from the pro superstar shootout, but let's get to the reality that you cannot keep secrets, apparently, to save your life. But maybe that's a strategy, because myself, Dugenay, others, if you've been following along, you've been dropping these nuggets about who would step into a top fuel ride all the way back to Indy in a Auto Week article done by Susan Wade, because I'm following Top Alcohol, and I'm like, there's only one person he's talking about. So,
Right.
Matty Gordon, the relationship there from California, pretty close. You signed her license and all those things. Why drop the news so openly now, and how's things shaping up, and why that gal?
Listen, it hasn't been like we had a top secret thing going on. We did in the beginning. We had met with Michael Andretti several times. He's an old friend of Snake's when I drove for him, and always sort of wanted to come do the drag race thing. So we flew to Indy a few times, met with Andretti Global and them, and they wanted to be involved in something. They wanted to partner up, and they wanted to come in knowing that I'd been in the sport. We had a great start to my ownership. It just felt right. And they wanted to come in, maybe bring a few of their partners from the IndyCar side. We were hoping, right? Just but bring something fresh, like Tony Stewart coming into the sport, obviously. And then, of course, the F1 thing starts to happen. But before that, I'd already talked to Doug Gordon and Matty, and I've had my eye on, for me, I've had so many people come to me wanting to bring money or bring something or start another part of our team or us add a car. It's always been Guido, and everything that we would do would be around what Guido's idea would be for a multi-car team. I've been in that. It's Don Perdome's, we're a multi-car team, big multi-car team at DSR. So we talked, and Guido said, if we're going to do it, let's do a dragster. So we started talking, but I grew up with Mike Gordon, who was Doug Gordon's dad, who, when I was running around helping Alan and Blaine Johnson and Jim Rizzoli, and Mike Gordon was driving the Alcohol Funny Car. Doug Gordon was a little younger than me, but I knew him growing up. So fast forward, great kid, great family. His wife, obviously I watched the girls grow up. We used to go to the lake up there, and I just kept an eye on him. And then all of a sudden they're at a race in Dallas a few years back, and Maddie and Macy, but Maddie was putting the clutch in the car or something that weekend. Doug was still driving. And so I just kind of kept my eye. And so funny thing is, I actually talked to Doug and Maddie Seattle weekend, where she ended up winning the race, right, and becoming the 100th woman. But I wanted to approach it, talking to Doug to make sure he was okay with Christina and himself, and do the right thing. We were going to announce it, let her run another season, which we still are, and just announce that we're going to do it. And so it wasn't like this top secret, but we were kind of doing it. We just didn't want things to sort of leak out. And Susan Wade has a way about squeezing stuff out of people, right? So so it ends up in Auto Week. It's all good. And who knows, Michael might still be involved, but the whole Formula One thing with Andretti Global kind of put the halt on them doing anything for the moment. We'll see what happens. We're going to have an announcement, I think, the Vegas NHRA 4-wide race on details of what we're doing. But that's it. She's going to run for a championship this year. I think that's a great family. I think she's going to be fantastic. And honestly, the goal for me was to give somebody a chance that may not ever have a chance to drive a top fuel car, because nowadays, if you don't bring a big check or have a lot of money behind you, you're not going to probably get that ride. And it's the same in every motorsport, right? So I just felt like she has a good head on her shoulders. She will be perfect. And sponsors are going to love her. She's very natural, and she can get up on the wheel, and she's a firecracker. So I'm excited for her, and I'm excited for Doug and the family, and we're going to let her do her thing this year. And if we can get her maybe licensed later without interfering with her funny car stuff, we'll do that. But we've got partners already that want to jump on board. And so a lot of fun stuff coming up later in the year. Nothing's set in stone, but again, it's Guido's team to put together a good crew chief that he wants to work with and just kind of do it the right way.
How important is it for you? I've been watching this sport since I was 4, and you talked about being able to give someone an opportunity to drive without having to pay. And I find that's refreshing, but I find that to be so important and could lay the groundwork for other people to follow suit. I know you were a person who was given an opportunity without having to pay as well. How important is that for you to be able to kind of give back in that way, the way it was given to you when you got your first opportunity?
I had a great childhood. We didn't grow up with a ton of money, but my dad raced on weekends. We were always around cars. And I could not have asked for a better childhood, going to Bakersfield March meets in Orange County, and just a great childhood. But there was no way in heck I was getting a top fuel ride growing up. I mean, it just wasn't going to happen. And you fast forward, and I'm working, helping Blaine and Alan Johnson, Jim Rizzoli. I'm a crew guy. I know I want to drive. What's the best way to do it? I watched guys like Larry Dixon, who worked on a car and got a ride in Snake's car. But there's very few. Del Worsham, right? But his family sort of had the funny car. But he's one of those guys that would have earned that same, I guess. It's funny because I got the Roger Prim ride from somebody that saw me in the alcohol dragster. Roger Prim saw me in the Montana Express, and I got that ride because John Mitchell saw something in me when I was working on another guy's alcohol dragster, and he knew I wanted to drive. So it just went boom, and the next thing you know, I'm driving Roger Prim's, and I got picked over like an incredible amount of heroes to drive that top fuel dragster. And then Don Pernome calls. And then Don Schumacher's. I never had to bring money to one of those rides. I was hired because they thought I could do the job and represent sponsors and be good in the cockpit and all that. That's never happens anymore. And so I'm very blessed. And so I feel there is a slew of kids and young drivers that will never get that chance, that would probably run circles around Antron and me and Shawn and Forrest. I mean, anybody. Incredibly talented kids that worked on their junior dragsters. And, so I always felt like I wanted to do that. And it's not hard to do. There's partners out there that want people to represent them, especially nowadays, right? I heard you guys talking earlier about the social media and all that. And there's such a great push. And the fact that NHRA doesn't just have women and girls driving. We have girls and women that win championships.
Yeah.
They're not just also rans and, we got a girl over here, she's got a great sponsor and she qualified, right? And I'm not ripping on anybody else. I'm just saying we've got incredible talent that are great ambassadors and can be. And so I've always just kept my eye. And again, it's a great family. And I think that's really what kind of started the whole thing with me.
Well, Ron, we know you got another commitment even on this night to get to, so we thank you for your time and thank you for what you're doing for the sport. We need more owners to do exactly what you're doing and give those shots to people who legitimately deserve it and can drive it, and Matty Gordon is one of them. Thank you.
Indeed.
It's going to be fun. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Take care, Ron. See you, man.
Later.
I like that move.
Me too.
I like that move.
Me too. I really do. We didn't get a chance to ask him, but it's so it shows his experience. It shows that what he's soaked up over the places he's been between Snake and being with Don. Just the culture that he's built. And, Ree and Ryan Elliott were talking about that on the Not Bland show, about how important that is and people buying in. And he has such a great culture and brain trust in a group of people that he can be able to be an owner without having to worry about those other things. He lets those guys do what they do best, and he handles what he handles and what he knows he needs to do to be so everyone's at their best. And I think that in itself is important to having and breeding success. And then you talk about, bringing in someone like Maddie Gordon and that family and what they really mean to the sport of drag racing, just in that aspect. It's going to be a fun journey to see. I'm very excited to see the pairing and how it all, plays out, because she has all the tools in the toolbox to be one of the greats. And like you said, this sport doesn't just have women that look good and come out and qualify for races, and that's, that's cute. No, they're contending for championships. They're winning championships. And that, it's not really knocking anybody. It's just stating the cold hard facts. We have winners over here. And, I'm really looking forward to seeing what she brings to the ranks of the, nitro ranks. It's going to be tough sledding for a lot of people out there, because she is a firecracker, and boy, she can drive her butt off.
She really is the total package, as far as attractiveness and then energy and personality and likability, with the ability to drive. I mean, she drives exceptionally well a top alcohol funny car that may be one of the most challenging race vehicles out there to drive. And it's not on a torque converter. It still has a clutch in the thing. She is swapping feet, hitting buttons in one of the fastest top alcohol funny cars that's out there in competition. And she also knows how to work on it. She can work on that clutch. I mean, matter of fact, one time she's going into like a final round and I need to interview her. She's working. I really don't have time. Like, hey, you just keep doing your thing and I'm going to do a monologue over this, because she is working on the clutch and getting it ready for the final round in this case. So she knows the in and outs of the sport everywhere. She is a spectacular candidate and cannot wait to see the partners that will be involved and the marketing and racing dynamo that she very well can be for the future in the NHRA. Well, Duchesne, how about we take a quick break, come back, we'll dive into some more comments and wrap up the Competition Plus Power Hour. If you're going to go and compete, you got to have the right products, and you're going to get the right products from Competition Products.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S. Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away. Competition Products, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
And back. Folks, let me also say that we are not ignoring you actively, but we had Shawn in a little later than originally scheduled, and it just stacked things up. And we had some windows tonight that we typically aren't playing with. Ron had another commitment that he had to get to, that type of thing. So we're not trying to ignore anybody. Thank you for your comments, but we had a very narrow window with both of. Apologize for that, but thank you for diving in. And I see many of you, like Blake, he's been saying, hey, we need to get Amanda Busick on. We've had Amanda on years ago. Might be time to have her on again. She's doing a lot of other things in the world of motorsports. It'd be interesting to get her take on NHRA drag racing with all the other exposure that she's had to motorsports, beyond in her career now at this point. And yes, we're definitely ignoring you, Dave W. I know that.
Yeah, Blake, I'll try to work on that as well, to get her on the Not Bland show. I saw your comment, and I will be working on that for sure. I tell you what, though, that comment about the young lady in the junior dragster thing, I don't know much about that at all. I have no idea what happened in that one or anything like that. But I tell you, it's going to be a very interesting season for the Mission Food Series, for the alcohol series. I don't know. We're saying this again, but it's going to be a heck of a year. Super excited about the things that the NHRA has put forth that they're going to be doing. We're going to have that showcase of speed here in the Peach State, and man, it's just so many good things that are coming up. And so much. I think there's so much momentum and so much excitement coming into this 2025 NHRA season.
Absolutely. Something that I wanted to ask Ron, and I felt like, one, we had to talk about Pro Shootout, and then we also had to talk about the latest buzz, and that was Maddie, Top Fuel. And glad we did. We got a lot of great information. Andretti still may be interested. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's pretty cool. But I wanted to ask him, because I feel like Ron Capps is like our Jeff Burton, maybe. Jeff Burton in the NASCAR world was known as the mayor. A lot of people would go to him. He was almost that in-between guy from drivers to NASCAR itself. And I feel like Ron might be that guy, at least in the funny car. And I wanted to get his take on the feeling of the Pro Superstar Shootout from year 1 to year 2. And where does he think it's going? Because it just seems in a very different direction than it was from year 1 to year 2 now. So that's something I still want to have answered myself and get an idea on the pulse of the situation from those that are there in the sport, and especially him as owner and driver with the experience. Yeah. And then, like you mentioned with Andrew's question, I don't know much about that situation either. I always take an interest, though, when there is an incident with junior dragsters, because I was a competitor in junior dragsters, and I can't help but think, like, what the heck happened? How does it happen? I do know, Andrew, and for anyone else that's interested, TJ Pruitt with drag coverage, he had a live about a week ago on drag coverage, and he talks about the junior dragster safety. Might be able to learn a little bit more there about what happened. Very strange. So sad to hear.
I didn't even think that could happen. I mean, I know they go 80 miles an hour or so, but I didn't even think that could happen.
I don't know what happened, but I do know things can go bad very quickly. I remember one young lady, and she went later on, she won a lot of races, but it was early in her junior dragster career. She's turning on the turn, hit the gas, and it, with the wheels turned and hitting the gas, it rolled over, so stuff can happen. Yeah.
Okay. I was kind of shocked to see something like that. And I didn't know that was a thing. There was an issue there, but they make horsepower. They make pretty good horsepower too. So yeah, I guess things can happen and happen pretty quickly.
Right. And yeah, they are impressive machines for a 1-cylinder engine. It's impressive what you can get out of a 5 horsepower block, basically.
Yeah.
Stratton. It's impressive what they can do. Blake, to answer your question, I've had Monday Morning Racer for about 6 or 7 years, and probably he regrets it, but nonetheless, he's had me for like 4 or 5 at this point. So yeah.
Thoughts on the NHRA TV announcing team? I
like it and I don't like it.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. I like it and I don't like it. You guys know how I feel about certain things. I wish sometimes that they would get outside of the box a little bit. That's not discrediting anybody who got the opportunity, but sometimes it seems like that it's friends taking care of friends, and it's not open. It's not really an open invite. It's kind of like closed, and we pick whoever we're going to pick, and not really look out and give others that might be, capable of doing so, an opportunity to do so. Seeing a fresh face, and not saying that they have to be a full time. Maybe they come in and they sub in for 4 or 5 races, maybe 5 or 10 races. But yeah, I like it and I don't like it. And the don't like it is the fact that it seems like that friends taking care of friends. So
Right. Now, I do expect we will see people beyond that announcement team. The reason I say that, Cody Kirksey, I believe that's how you enunciate his last name.
Mm-hmm.
He is a announcer and has worked with NHRA, mainly West Coast.
Right.
He's mentioned that he's going to be doing some NHRA.TV work this year. So
that sounds good.
I think that was like the primo lineup, if you will. But I certainly expect
that's their
gonna
base
hear
lineup.
From some other people. I think of Chris Monahan. I think of my buddy Warren Evans. You know, you're going to hear some other personalities out there. What is the fancy word for buddy system?
Nepotism.
Nepotism. Yeah, nepotism. Yeah. I think there is some of that. I mean, it's everywhere. Yep. I'm not a David Freiberger fan. Now, when I say not a fan, I have no ill will against the man. I just don't really follow what David does. I realize, though, he has an immense following, and I do think that was a good addition to the NHRA lineup, especially grabbing him after all the Motor Trend and Hot Rod and everything and all the mess that is. I also think, hey, Al Tucci, he knows Pro Mod. Why not bring him in for Pro Mod? I know he may not be everybody's particular bag of chips, if you will, but nonetheless, I think him there for Pro Mod, I like it.
He's Al is drag racing's Mad Dog Russo. I don't know if you guys know who Mad Dog is, but he's he does a lot of stick and ball sports stuff. He reminds me, he's kind of drag racing's Mad Dog Russo deal. But yeah, I think overall though, I know people have been talking about Reinhardt not being around and whatever, but with things, change happens, and I think it's a step forward. And I think you've seen guys like Jason Galvin, did an excellent job last year. He's been calling and was calling a lot of the top alcohol stuff, Pro Mod stuff. He's done a lot of stuff, but excellent job. A natural, another person. I feel like he doesn't have to have a shtick, right? It just all comes natural to him, and I think that's the same thing you get. I think when you get the excitement, you get that explosion of reaction when you talk about a Brian Loans. I think it's the same thing with Jason Galvin. It's just natural. It just comes to them. It's a true reaction to a sport that they're passionate about. And I think a lot of the new faces will help propel things forward and bring a new, fresh, look and sound to things. So as much as I feel like it's a little bit of nepotism there, the people that will be there will help move the needle and move it forward, and likely attract younger fans to pay more attention, especially when it comes down to NHRA TV. So, and then with the new graphics that they think that they're talking about bringing out and all of that, a fresh look to it. I think that package is going to be good, and could help, improve those who may before been on the fence about buying it, being able to buy that full time, because they do have race by race purchases as well.
They do. And I still contest that the NHRA could do more with NHRA.TV, or especially their YouTube channel. Why not have a YouTube specific team that points to NHRA.TV, that points to the Fox broadcast, and then those broadcasts point back to YouTube, and let the YouTube crowd be a training ground? People who are passionate about the sport, people who, need to learn the ropes, but they're there and they're covering the sport, and you are exposing them to more while telling the stories of NHRA drag racing. And for example, Joe, look, I think the attention in the pits segments are they're good, they're great, but at times, I'm sure on a weekend, Joe's busy enough that it's very challenging to get to those segments.
Yeah.
So why not have some other people lined up to come in and do those type of segments? And also, the NHRA still does not have its own Power Hour. It doesn't have its own West Buck Show. It doesn't have, not to take anything away from Brian Loans and the Insider podcast, but there is nothing live that is like this for people to interact with. Maybe they don't want the interaction with the way some of the fans are in the fan base. Nonetheless, there is no opportunity for that to happen right now with them not putting anything out. And I think they could have a place to do that.
Yeah, I've been saying it, not giving out any of my ideas, but I do believe you need a Fox NHRA Sunday type, pre-show. Maybe you do have a small post show, but at least a pre-show for the races. I think it's doable. And again, that's something that could be used on, it could be YouTube specific, and that gives opportunity for other people. And I've said this time and time again before, all of this and the change, they wear out the same people over and over again. And eventually, not to their fault at all, they become stale because you see them everywhere doing everything. They're wearing 30 different hats. There's room for other people, and those folks could be the people who are groomed to come up, because it starts to become like we had an issue with crew chiefs. We saw it in football with rotating the same old coaches over and over and over again. That's what's going to happen. Sure, you have a couple new faces, but the majority of the same faces that we've seen just doing something different. And like you said, great segment by Joe doing that attention in the pits, but Joe's doing so much other stuff. I mean, guys, sometimes he's in the media center asking questions after qualifying or whatever the case may be, interviewing the number one qualifiers. Like, it's a lot going on, and there's a lot that they're doing all day that, hey, man, let's get some more people in there that can actually do those small things, and they're being groomed to be the next group or wave of people that kind of move forward, because they're not going to be here forever. Because I think Joe's going to be pretty excellent at this race deal with Project Pontiac. So NHRA, be careful. He might be winning some races here, and he's going to be spending a lot of time with Project Pontiac, and going to need a little time to be able to spend that time so he can win races.
Right. Look, I think it is a quality panel, but over time, the weak links will be evident.
Yep.
And I think the changes will need to be made. Also, I do want to give a shout out to Ida Zetterstrom. English is not her second language. It's not her first language. It's like her second or third language. And she's giving this a shot. And she has good command of the English language. But it's very cool to her to say, hey, I'm going to put myself out here in this situation and keep myself out. And she's a hustler. You got to hand it to her. She keeps working at this dream, and that's cool to see.
Yeah, it is. I put her right in with all the other tops. She works very hard at her craft, and she has she's very personable. I think that show I did with her was like one of my top shows of the Not Bland show, top viewed shows. She's just so personable, and it's down to earth. And like you said, that's not her main language, but she is not afraid to put herself out there. And I like this that deal, putting her there, because just the energy that she brings to everything that she does, it will be evident in that for sure.
And then, just like Ida picking on Gel, well, English is her second language, which she's so used to the Creole and the Cajun. I mean, no, and Gel speaks fine. I'm just playing. She would do fine in that role because she's done it before in other ways, and also being Mission Foods ambassador. So she would do just fine. And I also like that you got some people with some different experiences there. Ida with motorcycle experience and Top Fuel experience in the stateside and also in Europe. You now got Angel, well, actually motorcycle and Top Alcohol Dragster experience and future Top Fuel experience. So very cool what they're doing there. And overall, I think it's a good panel. And we will see. I think what's critical, though, that the NHRA, we may be going to a future where it's not one voice is the voice of the NHRA. It's a multitude.
Yeah.
And as different as it may be, that may be the best way to do it, especially for a sport as diverse as drag racing.
Agreed. Yeah. I think that is the way to go. It's different now. You know what I mean? You have so much more exposure in so many different ways. And with the way of social media and, you know, all those things, this day and age of young folks consume things differently. And I think that constant rotation of that group of voices is what's going to nab each. There's little by little, everybody has a contribution in who they draw in. And when you have that collection, those little clusters make a mighty group there. So I think with all of that, I think that's the direction. That's the direction to go. I mean, shoot. I mean, you see rotations in announcers in WWE. So, there's only mainstay is Michael Cole. So, think that's going to be that's the way that a lot of things go, and I think that'll be here. But I think that's to the good.
Right, and I think we need that rotation in the Fox. I remember Brian Loans on the Insider podcast mentioned that we should see some people rotating in from other sports segments. I think that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And, not to be like DEI and all of that, but for the world of drag racing, I'm still surprised we don't have an African-American pit reporter. It's very strange. I don't understand.
I'm just going. Y'all know. I ain't even gonna say. You said it. I'm not going to even get into all of that because y'all already know.
I mean, look, and it's not anything new. If you look through all of my shows, I have said this for a while. I think drag racing is a great place. Like I mentioned earlier in the show, TJ Pruitt, he might be a great candidate for something like that. I think Dujanay Bland might be a great candidate. I think Sam Smith, my co-host many years ago,
Sam was very good.
He could have been a good candidate. I think, I think of Darren Williams Jr. He'd be a great candidate. I just think it's a missed opportunity. If I may, maybe the gender diversity is leaned on a little bit too much. And
a lot of things.
Maybe some other diversity should be worked in as well.
I can agree with that. Definitely. But I think that's with a lot of things. It's we lean hard one way and forget about the other stuff. But that African American voice would be nice. And I've said it time and time again. I'm available. So
there are some great candidates, and it would be neat to see. And I mean, why not Hispanic? I mean, you have all this representation
because
in
the
drag race.
Yeah, big time representation.
Yeah.
And quadras are, that would be great. That would be great too. Yeah.
Right. And look,
Gotta think
before
outside.
long, we'll be able to have Ida can do the All-in Island NHRA.tv, and then we can have Hispanic, and they can do the Spanish NHRA.tv.
Yeah.
And we just have all of it covered. And truly, the NHRA going to the world.
Yeah, definitely. Lonnie, you don't want me to be president. I'll pass that to somebody else. I'm just a man of the people. That's all. I'm just the people's champ. That's it.
So Tyler clued in on who I was referring to in the Tommy Johnson Jr. drove injected nitro funny car, Anthony DeCiro, and that's the man behind Composite Specialties. So if you've ever heard of that company, he does some fine work with carbon fiber that affects, industry-wide in the world of drag racing and beyond. He owns that funny car and has had Tommy Johnson Jr. in the car. So, again, injected nitro, nothing new to the NHRA scene and also to drag racing. Injected nitro was all the way back in the 60s. So, it's been around for a while.
Yeah, definitely. Sarah's good too as well. She's awesome people, man. Awesome people, does great work. Definitely. What did Andrew say? You know what though? There were not as many NHRA commercials there, but I can tell you right now, I was watching NXT on Peacock, their pay-per-view, and there was Gator National commercials every time they went to break. There was a couple other things. My wife watches Bravo, and there's Gator Nationals commercials popping up on Bravo. I mean, it's almost on every channel that I've been watching that you've seen Gator National promotion commercials on. And I was very shocked at that, where I'm seeing it at. So whatever the NHRA is doing, they're doing an excellent job, because it is in a lot of places that you wouldn't expect to see it, grabbing the housewife community, grabbing, WWE watchers. It's everywhere. It really is everywhere. I was super shocked to see it on Peacock during a NXT pay-per-view. Very shocked, but also happy as well, because you're grabbing the attention of a lot of people there.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Look, I have noticed ever since the end of COVID and coming back to speed on things, the NHRA has continued to grow and diversify what it's doing in marketing and PR and social media. We all might be like, hey, more, faster. But they are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see what kind of dividends it has in the future. And, I want to go back to, we started this show, and we were talking about Cletus McFarland, a.k.a. Garrett Mitchell, and him being in the car and all that. Well, remember, the NHRA has worked out the deal where one of his shows at Indianapolis Raceway Park happens during the regional. So there already has been connection. There already has been crossover. So, yeah, but we need to see them in a car. Somebody work that out.
Yeah. I wonder what type of car it would be, though.
Look, the guy is Scott Palmer. If Scott Palmer can put Travis Pastrana in it, and it's Scott. Make a call. Somebody.
Yeah, he is the guy. He's definitely the guy. Scott's done a lot of cool stuff, by the way.
Scott's just cool.
Yeah, he's just a cool dude. Just a cool dude. He is the guy that gets it done. Yes, Peacock is owned by NBC. So, it is very interesting. But, commercials were there. So, whatever NHRA is doing, kudos, because I would never expect to see it in the middle of watching NXT on Peacock. That's for sure.
Right.
So,
and We can continue. Good move. We finally got all the national events on YouTube. I mean, I would like to see them after the actual national event uploaded in about a week or two. I'd love to see that move happen, but we have them all now on YouTube. That is great. And you're going to have a live stream of testing at the Gator Nationals. I think that's great. So, you know, before the Gators, before the baby Gators, from what I understand, and, you know, they are making some right moves for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's certainly good to see that. And folks, support your driver, support the NHRA, and support your local track. Remember, folks, I saw a great post by getinthestands.com or something like that. The Daytona 500 is done with, and they said, look, they had all these little balloon icons for all these racetracks in Florida. And there are hundreds of racetracks that you can go attend a local race in Florida. Racing did not die in Florida after the Daytona 500.
Yeah.
And let me say that racing is not dead. Drag racing is not dead when there's not a national event around you. There is something to go check out and enjoy, from Southeast Gassers to Funny Car, Nitro, Fuel Altered Chaos, to small tire racing like they're doing down there in South Georgia, north of Valdosta and Adel at South Georgia Motorsports Park with the lights out.
Yep.
You know, whatever they're doing on Sesame Street, or Cheeto eating and duck waddling, I don't know. I mean, but nonetheless, it's happening down there, and there's some spectacular drag racing happening, and you can go be on and on and on and on and on. Get to your local track.
Definitely. Going to be some good stuff this weekend at Lights Out. And if you paid for Flow, you get to watch that on Flow. If you pay for Flow to watch the Pro Superstar Shootout, you can watch that on Flow as well. Should be a great event, man. It always is. And it's a huge turnout there at South Georgia Motorsports Park. So I'm looking forward to that. But my eyes are set on Southeast Gases Association coming to South Georgia Motorsports Park in March after the Gator Nationals. I cannot wait.
It's going to be a good show. In talking with folks at the Southeast Gases Association, going to have a swap meet now. You can expect Friday night. That show is going to be ramped up, a little bit more grudge racing, rolling right into eliminations. And if you have never been to a Southeast Gassers show, you need to go. You're going to enjoy yourself, because there's always on-track action happening, unless something major happens on track or there is a weather delay. When there is time for prep, there's very little prep. They tell you how long it is. Hey, we got 10 minutes, brief amount of prep. Guess what? It's 10 minutes. Cars are back on track. It is not the endless tractor show or the tractor national like some of these shows are. They are running race cars, and you get car show and race show all in one. Not to mention, if you're a fan of the ladies, some of the most classy backup gals in all the sport of drag racing. It's certainly worth checking out there at South Georgia Motorsports Park, March 21st and 22nd. Tickets on sale now at FOAT.com, FOAT.com. Check out South Georgia Motorsports Park. Get your tickets. There's VIP parking, swap meet parking, and beyond for the Southeast Gases Association race. Its biggest points-paying venue ever in its history in Georgia.
I'm excited. I'm absolutely excited. And yeah, man, Mighty Mac, looking forward to seeing you there too, man. You know, he puts in a lot of work promoting the sport. So yeah, it's always a good time, my man.
Mighty Mac is certainly putting into work. Go to his YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. He'll have a lot of great content for you through the year concerning NHRA national event drag racing. And man, I would say that I am looking forward to seeing you at Gainesville, but I cannot say that because I will not be at Gainesville. I'm going west. Go west, son. Go west. I will be at the famed March meet at Famoso Drag Strip in Bakersfield, California, where all the cool kids are going to be.
I need to do that one year. I have to do that one year. I think my guy, why did I forget his name now? But I think one of my good friends is going to be out there. racing, hopefully. And I need to get out there. That is one bucket list thing that I really want to do out there. Mr. Rendell Racing. He probably is going to be at the March meet. So I'm hoping that I can get out there and get a chance to see him race at the March meet as well, because it's a fun event, man. That's something that I want to do. It sucks that it's on the Gator National weekend, but I'm going to have to sacrifice one of those.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, look, it's been a great show. Thank you, Shawn Reed. Thank you, Ron Capps, for your time. Dujane, thank you for your time. Always great to have you here co-hosting.
Indeed.
I'm Lee Kraft, a.k.a. the Monday Morning Racer. Join with us again Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll do it again right here on the CompetitionPlus.com platforms. This has been the Power Hour. I need to continue to drive and get ahead of this storm.
Yes. And since he's going to redline it out of here, so are we.
Reliability to drive thousands of miles. Confidence for those who fly high. Redline oil products give you the power to crush the competition. And a track record of being the best. Redline oil products. You push it to the limit, we'll protect it.